everybody. Sorry if the angle's weird. You're currently sitting on my water bottle as a tripod, and you can probably hear my laundry in the background, but I wanted to start my first reading vlog because I've been binging so much book content recently, and I just haven't been seeing any of the content that I'm really drawn to, or I've watched all of those videos already. I've been really into Katie is reading and her reading vlogs. I think they're perfect. I just kind of wanted to start a reading vlog for you guys. I don't know how long, maybe the next 3 or 4 days I'll kind of vlog what I'm reading, because I do have some reading plans. The first reading plan that I have is to finish the book that I'm reading on my Kindle, which is Powerless by Elsie, which is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Springs series, and so far I'm really liking it. I like Jasper a lot as a male lead, and my favorite of the series so far I think has probably been the second one, Heartless, with Cade and Willa, but I like Jasper a lot and I like Sloane a lot, so this is kind of potentially going to be my new favorite in the series. But I'm 40% of the way through that book, and I want to finish that one maybe today or tomorrow so that I can start. Let me show you my next read so that I can start this lovely book. I have kind of started this book and stopped a few times now, but I really want to power through and finish it. I'm up to page 98. And I got there over the summer, and then I just put this book down and haven't read it again since. My plan for now is just to make some way into Powerless. I'm 40% done. I'm gonna try and make it to, it's currently 4:38 p.m. on December 27th. So I'm gonna try and make my way to about the 60 or 75% mark before I have to leave tonight. We're leaving to go to my dad's house at 6:15ish. So I'm just gonna sit down, read some of this, and I will give you guys some updates before I leave. A little update on my reading for Powerless, but I'm now on page 174, so I haven't made it that far. But I just wanted to say that Sloane's dad, oh my god, disgusting. He is a disgusting man. He just sent her a text that said, "Sloane, it's time for you to answer my calls. I raised you better than this. I know you can be highly emotional, but this is too far. Pull yourself together and behave like a Winthrop." Excuse me? Excuse me, Mr. I tried to sell my daughter off like a cow. I love Harvey so much. But Sloane's dad, I have terrible thoughts about that man. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that Sloane's dad is a terrible person. And I don't know why she keeps weirdly defending him. I don't know. That's all. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's the next day, and I do have some reading updates for you, but I'm gonna give them to you when I don't look like this. So we're gonna shower and probably make some coffee, and I'm gonna fix this. Okay, so looking a little bit better, hopefully, than the last time that you saw me. I just made my coffee and I'm going to start reading. I'm still on Powerless. I made it pretty far last night. I'm on page 282, 71% of the way. I do have a lot of thoughts and feelings. I'm really liking the book so far, but I just don't think I'm in a romance mood right now. I really want to read Chain of Gold and get into that like high fantasy kind of world, but I am really liking it. Their banter is super cute. I love Sloane as a female lead. Like, she's soft and quiet, but she's also able to stand up for herself and like knows what she wants. So I really like her as a main character, but I will go ahead and finish this book up and give you my final thoughts here in a bit. It's very clearly much later, but I just wanted to give you guys a little update. I am currently at Barnes and I'm about to go in and look for Powerless by Lauren Roberts because they're still doing their 33% off all hardcover sale. Today's the last day. And I haven't been able to find that book, but I'm gonna go try again for the last time before the sale ends. And then I ordered food to take home, so I'm going to go get my food and try and find this book at Barnes, and I will keep you guys updated. I did finish Powerless by Elsie Silver, but I'm still kind of thinking through my thoughts on that book, so I will give you guys an update when I get back home. I'm back from my little outing, and I got Powerless. I'm so excited. This is all thanks to my mother because they told me that they didn't have any, but she reserved one anyway because she was able to reserve one online, and I was like, that's not gonna work. She's like, it's worth a shot. I'm like, okay. And then I went and they had one on hold under her name. I'm so excited. So shout out to my mom for this right here. Next, don't look at my address. I bought these to do journaling with because I started a reading journal for 2024 and all I have is like highlighters. So they're just the Crayola Super Tips. I don't know if you can see that, probably not, but I'm super excited about these. Didn't have any proper markers. So I got this pack. It was on Amazon for like $6. Last thing in my haul, got chicken tikka masala from my favorite Indian restaurant. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna watch some reading vlogs from Katie is Reading. Oh, I need to give you my final thoughts on Powerless by Elsie Silver. I'm giving that book a 3 stars, 3.25, I think is what I decided on. I liked it a lot. Sorry if the light is changing. My TV is on and it's like changing, but whatever. I liked it. Not saying I didn't like it. It was good. It just wasn't as good as the other books in the series. I really liked Heartless the best with Cade and Willa. I think that book was so good. I loved their relationship. And I liked Jasper and Sloane too, but there was just something missing there. I think the plot was just not as strong as it was in the other books, like outside of the romance. Because in Flawless, you had Rhett being a bull rider and how that was impacting his life and his family. And in Heartless, you had the whole plot with the kid, Luke, who is so sweet, and he added like a whole new element to the story. And then in Reckless, I mean, he is a hockey player, but he skips his games a lot to hang out with her, and they just like go on a road trip by themselves and for all of their responsibilities for the majority of the book, which is kind of the point, but it just kind of seemed a little bit surface level to me, especially since Jasper, he's so traumatized from his childhood. I just thought that there was like a little bit missing, but all in all, I still would recommend the book. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 that I've read so far, but that's not to say that it was bad. Good morning. I think I last updated you on Thursday. It's currently Saturday, so I took yesterday off from reading and from vlogging because I had work and it was just kind of a busy day. I went and saw one of my friends. Didn't really get a lot of reading done, but today we are continuing Powerless. My plan today is to go to Target because I need to grab a few things for the house, and then I also need to go to I'm gonna head to the secondhand bookstore to see if they have any books that I am interested in getting, and then I'm going to go to a cafe and read for a bit and hopefully start editing this video so that it can go up. So yeah, my reading plans for today are just to read Powerless and potentially listen to some of the audiobook for the Starless Sea while I drive and while I edit. That's a little better. Okay, I don't know if you guys care. I'm gonna do a little haul just for fun. First thing I got is chamomile tea. And I also got some sleepy time tea for the nighttime because I love drinking tea at night recently. I got some shampoo. This is the vanilla and cactus flower scent. I've never used Native before, but it smells really, really, really good, so I'm excited to try it out. This is my favorite deodorant, the Dove Apple and White Tea Spray. It smells so good, and I use this stuff religiously, so. And then lastly is my favorite body wash, and I can only find this stuff at Target. Don't really know why, but it's perfect for the summertime, but it smells like berries. It just smells really, really good. So if you haven't used this before, go to Target, give it a sniff. Oh, one more thing. Target has these little like cakes. They're called Petite Fours, and they're so good. These are the red velvet ones, but I like don't need these, but every time I pass them at Target, I feel like I have to get them because they're so delicious. So I also got those. That's all I got at Target. I just got back in my car from the bookstore, and I just picked up one book. I ended up picking up Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I've heard really good things about this series, but I haven't read any of them myself. So if I end up really liking it, then I'll probably just wait until they get the rest of the series. But this book was only $9, which is actually a little expensive now that I'm saying it out loud, but better than Barnes & Noble, I guess. So my plan for the rest of the day is to go to a cafe and hopefully start editing this video potentially and making my way through Powerless.
Update on Powerless. To be honest, it's been a couple of days since I last spoke to you guys, but I haven't really had a lot to update on. I have been slowly making my way through this book, and as you can see, I've been tabbing a little bit. I'm up to page 128, so I am making my way through it. I hope to finish it today or tomorrow. I do have some thoughts, so I just wanted to share them. I'm really enjoying it so far. I do have one thing to say though. I feel like it's a culmination of all of the fantasy dystopian books that I read whenever I was in 5th grade. Connections between this and Hunger Games, like the trials and everything like that. It's very clearly inspired by Hunger Games. She hasn't really explained the trials much yet. I don't really know exactly what they are, but there's very clear connections between Hunger Games and this book. And then also Divergent. There's one scene that's like copy and paste from Divergent, and she gets nicked in the ear by a blade that someone throws at her on purpose, and it's directly from Divergent. And then there was another one too. Oh, Red Queen is also pretty similar. The dynamic between the royals and the elites and the ordinary people, except in this book, the people that are ordinary and don't have any powers just get murdered. So it's a little different, but basically the same. The people with powers are in the capital, they're the elites, they are the government, and the people that don't have any powers, they don't get a say in anything. So there's similarities between those series, and I kind of wasn't expecting it to be so blatant, if I'm honest, but so far I'm really liking it. I'm not really seeing the uniqueness between this book and other fantasy romance books that I've read. So I'm hoping that once the trials actually start and the romance actually gets pretty involved, there's a bit of difference. And I would say that maybe it's just because that's like the main genre of books that I read is fantasy romance, but a lot of the people that I've seen that have read this book also mainly read romance or fantasy romance. So I'm looking forward to finding that uniqueness that everyone's been talking about. Okay, so maybe I'll show you some of the parts that I've tabbed because I think that they're very cute, and I'm gonna try and keep this as non-spoilery as possible, but I'm just gonna be reading a few excerpts from the book. I'm only 120 pages in, so I'm not super far into the book. But if you don't want any spoilers or want to know anything that happens in this book, skip forward a bit and skip that part. But there was one scene that made me laugh. It's after she gets her ear nicked with the blade, Kai comes up to her and says, "You're getting blood in your hair." And she's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Turn around." And she says, "No, I'm not gonna turn around." And so he steps behind her and literally starts braiding her hair. I'm like, oh my god. He says, "Why do you sound so surprised? What, do you need me to teach you how to?" And she says, "No, how do you even know how to braid?" And it just made me laugh. And I like their kind of banter. I am looking forward to the rest of the book. Hope to finish it today. I want to get to the action. Honestly, this book kind of got right into it. I liked the setting. I like our female lead. Oh, and I also wanted to say that it's kind of like, what's that book where she's a thief? Dance of Thieves. Kind of reminds me of the MMC from Dance of Thieves because she's a thief and she pickpockets everyone and she's super good at it, and that's how she gets by. So it's kind of like that too. Like I said, it's taking from a lot of different stories, and I'm having trouble finding a unique part of this book that isn't related to some other fantasy book that I've read. So I will keep you updated on if I continue to like this book or if I'm not a huge fan. If I'm not a huge fan, I'm gonna be so disappointed because I've heard nothing but great things about this book, and I honestly haven't heard anyone say that it's super similar to any other fantasy books that they've read except for the Hunger Games. So that kind of makes me a little bit nervous, but I will keep you updated.
Are we about to get a love triangle? A brother love triangle? Mark my words, if Kit dies by the end of this book, I'm rioting.
Welcome to the end of this video. I just wanted to give a little outro for the vlog and wrap up kind of everything that I read in this vlog and my final thoughts on the books that I read. So the first book that I finished was Powerless by Elsie Silver, and my final thoughts on this book were that I did really like it. I gave my brief overview of all my thoughts whenever I finished this book in the vlog previously, so I'm not gonna go crazy with my review and everything, but I did realize that I forgot to give a brief synopsis about the book and what it's about, which I think is okay because sometimes I go into a vlog and I already know what the book is about and I just want to see their reactions and see if they liked it or not. So that's what I did at the beginning of the vlog, but now that we're at the end, I guess I'll give a brief synopsis of the books that I have read. That way you can decide if you want to read them or not too. So Powerless by Elsie Silver is about Jasper and Sloane, and they have been friends their whole lives. Sloane is actually the cousin of the Eaton brothers that are in the rest of the Chestnut Springs series, but Jasper was taken in by Harvey. He's not related to any of them at all. So Jasper and Sloane were just really good friends growing up, and Sloane always had the biggest childhood crush on Jasper, but he just never really reciprocated. So she never got rid of those feelings, but she kind of hid them away and moved on. She moved away, she got engaged, and the beginning of the story starts with Jasper meeting her fiance and their wedding, and she ends up leaving him at the altar. Jasper breaks her out of the wedding and they go on this road trip because they just want to get away from all of their problems. They start connecting over this road trip that they go on. I really like the Chestnut Springs series because of the found family and just the vibes of the small town. And this book really didn't take place in that setting because they are on a road trip for most of the book. So it wasn't my favorite, but that's not to say I didn't like it. I still really liked Jasper. I really liked Sloane. At the end, they set up for the next book. The next book is Reckless, which is ironic because the next book in the Powerless by Lauren Roberts series is also Reckless. The next book in the Chestnut Springs series focuses on Winter, which is Summer's sister. Summer is the main character of the first book. And Theo, Rhett is kind of Theo's mentor. Rhett is also the MMC from the first book, Flawless. I think it's a single dad trope. I will read that eventually, but I'm gonna take a break from the series for now. So kind of my final thoughts on Powerless by Elsie Silver. Now let's get into my thoughts for Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This book was so good. I really loved it. My final rating was a 4.5. I just finished it last night. I really liked it. I know at the beginning I was saying that it's very similar to a lot of other YA books that I've read. I don't know if this book is considered YA or adult, but the romance is pretty YA, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, it kind of just reminds me of the other YA books that I used to read, but in the best way. There were quite a few similarities, which I already talked about, but By the end, it was a unique story. My AC just kicked on, so sorry if you can hear that. I know I should have been expecting the ending, but I really didn't expect the ending at all for some reason. I don't know why. I was just so caught up in the story that I didn't expect the plot twist that came about by the end of the book. And I really enjoyed it. It was good vibes. I wasn't overly attached to most of the characters in this book. Kit was one of my favorite characters. I loved Kai, I loved Peyton, I loved Jax. I love a good, I hate everyone in the world but you. I really do, I really love it. A brief synopsis, you probably already know what this book is about, but if you don't, Powerless is about Peyton and Kai. They live in this society called Ilia, I believe. Yes, Ilia, where the elites have powers. That's what distinguishes them from the ordinaries who don't have any powers. Basically, this plague came into Ilia and caused this disease, I guess, in which some of the members of the society got powers after they got the plague. They kind of look at the plague as almost like a deity, like a god. Some of the people in the society did not get the powers from the plague. They remained ordinary, and Peyton is one of those ordinaries. Kai is actually the prince of the kingdom. His dad is the king, and they host these trials in which some people from the slums and some people from the elites, or even like the royalty, participate in these trials that basically put their powers to the test. The king has ordered all of the ordinaries to be killed, so he doesn't know that there's any ordinaries left in the country. Hayden saves the prince's life at the very beginning of the book, and so they nominate her to go into these trials, and they assume that she has power, but she doesn't, hence the name Powerless. Her and Kai have a little bit of banter. It's so good. I don't think that this is a spoiler, but I know I mentioned while I was reading this, I was like, is this gonna be a love triangle between brothers? It's not. I want to put that out there because I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking that this is a love triangle trope. It really isn't. That's all I have to say. The last book, which I only mentioned very briefly at the beginning of my video, is the Starless Sea. And I listened to this on audiobook. I got about 58% of the way done. I am really not into it. I don't know where the story is going. It's so long. The audiobook is like 21 hours, and I listen at 1.5 speed, and I'm still only 58% of the way done because I just have no motivation to continue listening to it. I might finish it, I might not, I really don't know. But so far, nothing is making sense in the story, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to really understand what's going on. The different storylines that keep like getting inserted into the middle of the book that you have no idea where they're coming from. Like, it's basically like a completely different story, but it's just a random chapter in the book, and then it goes back to the main POV. Like, I am not gonna remember those. When all those puzzle pieces finally click together, I'm just not gonna remember them. And I have a feeling that even by the end, I'm still not really gonna love it. And I know that sucks because I know that's a lot of people's favorite reads, but I'll give a brief synopsis of the Starless Sea as best I can, because like I said, I'm only 58% of the way done and I'm not really liking it, so I probably am not the best person, but definitely look up the Goodreads synopsis. I'll try and give you a brief one. Basically, it's about this boy named Zachary, and he finds this book in a library, and it's completely unlabeled. Like, it has no author, or even like the barcode to check it out from the library doesn't work. So he gets curious and he takes it home and he starts reading it, and he realizes that the book actually has stories about him in it, like real life events that occurred in his life that he didn't tell anyone about. Nobody knows about them, and he goes on this journey to try and discover who wrote it, and that's basically the premise of it. You find out that there's this secret society of librarians, basically. I'm doing a really terrible job at explaining this book, but it's kind of a story about stories. If you look at all of the reviews on Goodreads, all of them will say it's a love letter to storytelling and stories. It's not bad, but it's not my thing. It's a little too, it's trying too hard in my opinion. Maybe if I was reading it physically, I would feel different, but honestly, I don't think I'd get through it if I was reading it physically because it's just so dense and it's like nothing makes sense in the story and nothing will connect in the story until the last 100 pages. And it's such a long story that by the last 100 pages, I will forget everything that had happened in the very beginning of the book. And so like even when the puzzle pieces do connect, I'm probably not really gonna get much out of it. If you love stories about stories, if you love that kind of flowery, atmospheric writing, I would recommend it. If you're a big fan of Night Circus, I've heard that the writing is similar. I haven't read The Night Circus, but I've heard that the writing is very atmospheric. The plot is a little bit lacking. And that's one of the biggest issues that I have with this book so far is that there's not really a plot. All of the stories that just pop up that don't mean anything to me because the characters have never been mentioned before. And it's just a random chapter about random characters that you've never heard of. And it happens all the time. And I know that they'll connect at the end, but I just don't care. So that's my Starless Sea rant. Like I said, I'm really sorry if you loved that book. It's just not my thing. I can understand why people like it, but I personally probably am not gonna finish it. So those are the 3 books that I read in this vlog. I hope that you guys enjoyed. This is my first vlog, my first video. So if you have any suggestions or comments, anything that you'd like to see or like to see me do differently, please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.